What do you do when the pressure's too much? Not just stress, but when you're faced with overwhelming odds, deadlines collapsing, competitors circling, your team looking to you, and there's no easy way out. In those moments, most people freeze, fold, or flee. But what if there was a better response, one forged in blood, fire, and history? In 480 BCE, King Leonidas of Sparta made a decision that would define leadership for the next 2,000 years. And in this video, from his final stand, you'll learn 3 values that you can use today in business and in life. Courage under pressure, strategic sacrifice, and leading from the front. This is not just a story of war. It's a blueprint for modern leadership. Leonidas was no mythical figure. He was the 17th king in a long Spartan line raised not for luxury but specifically for battle. From the age of 7, he trained in Sparta's brutal military education system. Pain was expected, fear was fuel, and leadership had to be earned with sweat and scars. Unlike most kings, Leonidas wasn't born into greatness, he rose to it. By middle age, he ruled a city-state built on discipline, unity, and war. And so when the mighty Persian Empire, 10 times the size of Greece, marched in, Spartans didn't panic, they prepared. And Leonidas stood at the center of it all, calm, calculated, and ready to bleed for something bigger than himself. In the summer of 480 BCE, Persia's King Xerxes launched a full-scale invasion of Greece. Hundreds of thousands of troops, warships, cavalry, the largest army the ancient world had ever seen. Greece at the time was divided and outmatched, but Leonidas volunteered to stall the Persians at a narrow coastal pass called Thermopylae, the Hot Gates. He took just 300 Spartan warriors, hand-picked for their strength and loyalty, and was joined by a few thousand Greek allies against hundreds of thousands. Why? Because at Thermopylae, numbers didn't matter, terrain did. It was narrow enough to nullify the Persian advantage, but only if someone stood their ground. For 2 full days, the Spartans held the line. Wave after wave of Persian soldiers broke against their shields. When Xerxes demanded they lay down their weapons, Leonidas famously replied, "Come and take them." But on the 3rd day, a Greek traitor revealed a hidden mountain path. The Persians flanked the pass, and Leonidas knew the end had come. He ordered most of the Greek allies to retreat, but he and his 300 Spartans remained, and they fought. They fought to the last breath, not to win, but to send a message. Their sacrifice bought precious time for the Greek city-states to rally, and it lit a fire, one that would eventually drive the Persians out of Greece entirely. Leonidas fell, but his stand became immortal. You don't need to wear a cloak or carry a spear to apply what Leonidas stood for. There are 3 values you can take from this story that still apply when the pressure is high and the stakes are real. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. Leonidas didn't know if he'd win. In fact, in the end, he knew he wouldn't. But he still stood in the path of a force 100 times larger, because leadership isn't about guarantees, it's about making choices, making decisions. In business, in life, or in crisis, there will be moments when everything seems stacked against you. People will look to you. The easy route will be to retreat, delay, avoid, but courage says stand your ground. And when you're under pressure, how you act becomes contagious. People don't remember Leonidas because he survived, they remember him because he stood tall when it would have been easier to step aside. Leonidas didn't die for fame or glory, he died to buy time. His death wasn't senseless or just symbolic, it was strategic. By holding the line, he brought Greece the days it needed to prepare a counterattack. The same core principle applies in leadership today. Sometimes you take a hit so your team doesn't. You face the hard choice and you absorb the blow. That might mean passing on a short-term profit to protect long-term trust, or letting go of something that serves you but slows the mission. Or maybe being the one who stays late when nobody else will. Ultimately, leaders sacrifice, often personally, so others can move forward collectively. During the battle, Leonidas didn't sit in a palace and issue commands from afar. He was in the mud, spear in hand, shield locked with his men. In modern terms, he wouldn't have led from a spreadsheet from behind a desk. He would be shoulder deep in the messy, painful parts no one else wanted to touch in a project. That's how trust is built, when your people see you willing to share the load, the risk and the consequences. Ask yourself, do I ask others to do what I won't? Or do I model what I expect? Leonidas didn't have to stay in Thermopylae, he chose to. And in doing so, he showed that true leaders go first, especially when the stakes are highest. Leonidas died over 2,000 years ago, but his message is still alive. You may never face a massive Persian army, but you will face fear and doubt and sometimes failure. It's inevitable. The question is, will you stand firm when it counts? The Spartans had a saying, come back with your shield or on it. It wasn't about death, it was about standards. Don't drop your standards and your values just to survive the moment. So next time you're in a stressful situation, outmatched or uncertain, show courage under pressure when others may hesitate. Be willing to make a strategic sacrifice when it's easier to protect yourself. And lead from the front when no one else will step forward.